In this episode, we're going to run through why treating each and every customer the same is stopping your sales growing faster and what you can do about it to get the results that your business deserves. Welcome to Trade Sales Made Simple, the show helping 7 to 8 figure trade, construction, and industry leaders finally end the stress of inconsistent sales by simplifying your sales systems so that you can close more deals and grow faster. I'm your host, Ben Wright, and over the last 15 years, I've helped hundreds of trade and sales leaders grow their businesses and generate over $200 million in additional revenue by simplifying their sales processes. Let's get started. Across my 25 years of sales, what has been constant is that not all prospect is created equal. And what I mean by that is no matter how hard we try to qualify our leads, get engagement from them, or really be super clinical in making sure that only customers who are going to work with us are the ones that we generate leads from, that no matter how hard we work on all of that, is that the variation in leads and prospects that come into the business is significant. So today we're going to run through the 3 types of leads that we see come into businesses and what you can do to really move the dial in making sure they choose you to work with. So I've typically spoken about prospects as being in different stages of their journey, but after a recent podcast with a buddy of mine, George Bryant, he actually shared with me a great analogy that I love and am using now across all of my programs when it comes to recognizing the different types of prospects that come into our business. And what he was talking to when we were speaking about it was around how the best salespeople are consistently tending to different parts of the garden. So if you're a gardener out there, or if you're a landscape business, but if you're a hobby gardener, I love getting out in the garden whenever I can. I think it's a terrific and soothing way to see the day go by. And I particularly love it when my young one, when Amali comes out with me, right? But when you think about that gardening analogy, I want you to have a think about, your garden that's out there and the different types of stages that you have across the garden. We've got new seeds. We've got early growth. We've got mature and fruiting, right, type of plants or parts of our garden out there. And of course, we've got the dead parts, right? Now, we're not going to talk too much about the dead parts, right, or the overgrown parts. But today, we're actually going to focus around how you can classify your prospects and act on those classifications according to some of the different stages they're at in their lifestyle. So if we continue with that garden analogy, right, the very earliest parts of your garden are the seeds. These are the new plants that you've planted, the seeds that have fallen off your existing plants, or basically the parts of the garden that you can't see yet. You don't know what they're going to look like. They're not established. In fact, you're not certain they're going to grow. And these type of prospects are the ones that we talk about as being just looking. So they come into your business, they're not ready to go, but you still need to work with them. And the reason you need to work with them is so that your future self, right, the next stage of your business, thanks you for building a mature pipeline. Whilst getting sales now should be the utmost of importance to many businesses, preparing the business for future sales is equally as impactful. So for periods where lead generation's low, we don't have the time to get out to as many deals, or we're on holiday, right, for example, right? But future parts of the business, when new lead generation isn't as strong, they're supported by the activities that we do now, how we work on our business now, right, to start preparing ourselves for customers in the future. And these are what we call tending to the seeds. So making sure that we classify a lead, most importantly, when it comes into our business, as someone that's just looking and not ready to go now. And the most important step here, the most important difference in process, needs to be asking the question around, okay, are you just looking, right? Are you inquiring about what you could do? Or is this a project that you're going to move forward with and you just need to pick your provider? Because when we have someone that is just looking, right, we need to run a very different process than someone that's ready to go. If we have someone that's just looking and we start to move them into picking colours, right, we're going to have missed a step and lost that opportunity to really build trust with our customer, and quite frankly, probably going to lose that customer because we're moving too quickly through it. Whereas if we have a customer that's just looking and we start to work with them to define what their project would look like, to define with them what that beautiful interior design they want is going to be, to define with them what carpeting or putting flooring or polishing concrete could look like in their house, right? To define with them exactly what they want out of their business equipment growth. When we start to do that, we're building trust. We're working off those 5 stages of trust that we've spoken about way back in episode 256, 6 episodes ago, right? But we're starting to really build those stages of trust so that when a customer's ready, they are more likely to come to us. I speak a lot about how customers or people, or even us as individuals, decide emotionally and then justify rationally. And this is very much about building decisions on the emotional side so that our customers, even though they're not ready to go, they're already aligning with us and essentially in their mind seeing us as their partner to move forward with. We've all done it. I certainly have in projects across my business and across my home, right? When I know I'm not ready to go, but I'm out doing research so that I can move quickly when I am, I'm quite often picking my supplier based on that. I certainly did it with our studio build. I knew the builder I wanted to work with because I'd worked with them in the past, right? But they'd also been exceptional at giving me advice when I need it. So when we're tending to our garden, the first stage here is around classifying our prospects as seedlings, those that are just looking, and making sure we spend the time helping them through that journey rather than trying to get them to a decision. The future Ben, in my example here, is going to really thank current Ben for, because there's a maturity in the pipeline looking forward. Second one is early growth. So we're seeing the plants growing. There's proof of life. And if we look after them, they're going to grow into exactly what we want them to be in our garden. Now, they're prospects that are ready to go. They're the ones that come in and they're not just looking, but they are really wanting to make a decision. Now, with these customers, it's all about moving fast, making sure we're getting clear on what their need is, i.e. the problem to solve or the opportunity to capitalize on, getting out to see them quickly, quoting them quickly, having some structure in our follow-up, and getting the deal done. So these are very much your classic sales pipeline type of activities, your classic sales process execution. But where I see businesses make mistakes is that they don't recognize the urgency for a customer that's ready to go and treat them the same as all leads. And what invariably happens in this instance is that when we have a blend of leads that are ready to go, leads that are not quite sure, and return customers to our business, we end up with an average approach to all of them, right? Which means the deals that are ready to go, we quite simply don't move fast enough or engage with them strongly enough. So as we're thinking about our garden, right, and the seedlings that are in there that are the long burn type of customers, right, and how we're nurturing them through the journey, building trust early. We're then moving through to the plants that are growing. They're there, they're alive, they're in early growth, but they need us to look after them or they'll die. They're the ones where we've got to move quickly, and we're often watering these plants really frequently. So we have to look after them and tend to them and give them some love. And then the third stage here is where we've got our mature trees out there. They're fruiting, they're established. It's more just about pruning and looking after them, right, with some regular, structured attention versus constant heavy engagement like we have with new plants, or versus a nurturing phase that we have with early seedlings, right? Mature plants are those customers that are already with us and those ones who have transacted but should transact with us again. And this all comes down to, and I call these prospects because once we've done a deal with these customers, they should go back into our CRM as customers that we need to be reaching out to again, that we need to be getting in contact with every 3 months, every 6 months, every 12 months and asking them how their product's going, that we need to be getting in contact with and asking for referrals, that we need to be making sure that we are providing maintenance to, right? Monthly maintenance, right? If your gardens, weekly maintenance, if your pools, annual maintenance, if your housing or renovations, right? And there's something extra, right? The next stage of the renovation. In my experience, most people or most businesses that renovate, it's not just one go at it, it's multiple, right? If they're buying houses, right? It's what's the next house? What's the next investment property? But if they're at the mature stage, that we have our systems set up in our business so we don't forget about them. And I'd say that's the most common mistake. Where we see seeds, right? People that are just looking, we come in too heavy. Where we see people that are ready to go and need lots of attention, we come in too soft, we're too slow, right? And where we have mature parts of our garden, we forget about them and we simply let them grow, right? And they become overgrown, don't look as good, i.e. we don't get the results from in the business. So they're the 3 stages in terms of new prospect or prospect acquisition where I see too many businesses treat everyone the same. And as we're moving out of this podcast today, I want you to have a think about, is there one of those areas where you could do better at? Do you need to nurture prospects, more intelligently so you don't lose them now and they can work with you later on? Do you need to work faster with deals that are ready to go? Or do you have an existing pipeline of customers that you're simply not attending to, right? And we need to be pruning them back more regularly. Because the reality is for you, and I want to see everyone on this podcast, I want to see your businesses grow. But my main message, right, if it's not being 1% better each and every day, it's about making sure that you must make change to help you reduce your stress or build more money in your bank or become more profitable. And if you don't do that, then nothing will change. Good news is we're here to help on that. We've got some great new programs that are launching in the coming months, right? All you need to do is register on a wait list. There's no hard sell. In fact, some of these programs are going to be free, but you just need to register on that because they're all running off a wait list so that you get notified when they come. Please just click on the show notes. You'll be one of the first to hear about it. And then anything that is out on a limited time basis, particularly some of the free programs, right? They won't be available for long periods of time. You'll get notified and they'll come straight to you. Won't cost you a cent and it'll only take you 30 seconds. Please jump on, do it now. Otherwise, keep that focus up on being 1% better each and every day because it does make all the difference. Bye for now.